Welcome to today's podcast on Legal Aid for the Youth, Juvenile Justice in Consonance with POCSO. I'm Melina.
And I'm Anchal.
And we are members of the Legal Aid Centre, Symbiosis Law School, Hyderabad. And we are joined by Sudha Murali ma'am, a seasoned expert. She has been instrumental in strengthening child protection system and advocating for justice for children. We're excited to hear your insights on juvenile justice and legal aid for the youth, ma'am. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Yeah, okay. So thank you so much for inviting me as a guest speaker for your podcast. It gives me no privilege and feeling honored to be here with you folks. Thank you so much for that. And regarding myself, I have been working with an IT as an IT professional for around 16 plus years. And then later on, I took the path of entrepreneurship for 4 years, and then now into this POSH and POCSO for the past 2.5 years. So this is me in a nutshell. And why into POSH and POCSO is because sometimes I used to feel so helpless, and I was looking for a small way to start to change something small, right? So I found this is the way to start with, and that's why I took up this path of creating awareness amongst young minds, teachers, and also corporate, all the ecosystem involved for POSH and POCSO.
Thank you so much for that lovely introduction.
Hello one and all. Today we are here with Advocate Sri Harshita Chada, who would be giving us a brief introduction on POCSO and Juvenile Justice Act. Myself, Rishi Has, and the co-interviewer is Saisha. Hello, ma'am.
Hi.
Ma'am, for the viewers and listeners' sake, can you please introduce about yourself, ma'am?
Yes. I'm Sri Harshita. I work as a legal consultant for Bachpan Bachao Andolan, which is a national level organization working in the arena of child rights, specifically in the sector concerning human trafficking, child labor, and child sexual abuse. I'm also a practicing advocate in the High Court and other courts in the state.
Yes.
It's a pleasure to welcome you, ma'am.
Hello everyone, we're here with Syed Afzal. He is the superintendent for the Observation Centre for Boys, Hyderabad. We'll be taking few insights on how legal aid or how this Juvenile Observation Centre for Boys, how everything works here. And we'll be we'll take insight on as to how everything works here. Hello sir.
Hi.
Sir, if you could introduce yourself and elaborate more on that.
I'm Syed Afzal. I'm superintendent of this institution. Actually, this observation home was established in 1960 under the administrative control of Prisons Department. Later in 1990, the subject matter relating to children got bifurcated since our country has signed treaty in CRC, that is Child Rights Convention. The subject matter relating to children got bifurcated and a new department was established called Juvenile Welfare Correctional Services. So presently this institution is under the administrative control of Juvenile Welfare Correctional Services Directorate. And at the secretariat level, it is under the administrative control of Secretary, Women Development, Child Welfare.
So, if you talk about POCSO and the Juvenile Justice Act, these two are separate legislations as such. POCSO, which is the Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act, came into effect in the year 2012. And while we have the Juvenile Justice Act, these two are separate legislations. POCSO Act deals with offences against children, sexual offences per se against children. POCSO Act doesn't differentiate between a boy or a girl. This act in general talks about all children who undergo sexual offences. Any child below the age of 18 years who undergoes any kind of sexual offence, may it be penetrative or non-penetrative, all are brought under the purview of Child Sexual Offences Act, per se the POCSO Act. Even watching any kind of pornographic content, if you recently look at the judgment of the Supreme Court, wherein the Supreme Court overturned the Madras High Court judgment, where the Supreme Court held that even possessing any kind of pornographic material is an offence under the POCSO Act. And then when we come into the Juvenile Justice Act, Juvenile Justice Act per se deals with two kinds of people. They are CNCP, and that is the child in need of care and protection, and then we have CCL, that is a child in conflict with law. Child in need of care and protection are any kind of children that may include who are victims of certain offences. They can be children who are homeless rescued on the roads, or any kind of child who has the need of care and protection. But when it comes to child in conflict with law, there are certain offences, or largely today we see in many offences the accused are children. That is, anyone below the age of 18 years can be called as a child in conflict with law if he is an accused or an offender in the act. But we don't call them as accused or offender. That is what the act says. We call them as a CCL. That is, we still refer to them as a child, that is a juvenile who is in conflict with law. So the POCSO Act exclusively deals with offences of related to sexual abuse which are committed against the children, whereas Juvenile Justice Act deals with the entire arena of how the juvenile justice system in whole should work, where it provides different aspects like establishment of child welfare committees, establishment of juvenile justice board that looks into hearings of all cases where juveniles are involved. It talks about protection of children. It talks about what kind of rights do child have. So a lot is covered under the juvenile justice.
Ma'am, you spoke about accused being juveniles as well. How do the processes differ in cases where both victims and accused are juveniles in comparison to adults?
See, as I said again, you don't call a child as an accused. You call them as a juvenile, or you call them as a child in conflict with law. In cases where there is a child in conflict with law or a juvenile involved in any case, the hearing of the case doesn't happen in a normal court. That is, even if there are 3 accused in the case, where 2 of them are adults and 1 is a juvenile, the hearing of the case pertaining to the juvenile happens in a juvenile justice board, which is established under this Juvenile Justice Act itself, where a special court is designated for trial of these offences, because the maximum punishment under this act you can give for whatever offence might be for a juvenile is 3 years. And in most of the cases, the judge, whoever is the head of the juvenile court, ensures that the kind of punishment that is given is more of a reformative nature, because what we see here is you don't convict a child and put them in a prison in par with any adult. However, there was one amendment brought to this provision by the virtue of the Criminal Amendment Act in 2018, where post the incident of Nirbhaya case, where there was a juvenile involved in the case, the Amendment Act said that if there is any juvenile who is above the age of 16 years, has the maturity level of an adult, can be tried as an adult in exceptional situations. Except in such a circumstance, all the cases which involve a juvenile are tried in the juvenile court itself.
Ma'am, what safeguards are provided for child victims under the POCSO Act?
The POCSO Act, I feel, is a blessing in disguise for any child who has been victim of child sexual abuse. Longer in the society, we have not accepted the fact that a child can go through a sexual abuse. But today we see, as much as a child of age 2 years, 3 years is undergoing serious sexual abuse, which is a matter of concern for a society as a whole. So this act provides a lot of safeguards for such victim, whereas the act says that the statement of the child should not be recorded in the police station. It should be recorded by a special, if it is a woman police officer, if the victim is a girl, in the house of the victim itself when it comes to 161 statements or as such. And also the act allows in-camera recording of the proceedings where nobody is allowed in the court. And there are special courts for these trial. There are fast-track courts, while the POCSO Act says that any offence under the act, the trial should be completed in 1 year. Also, we have mechanisms like the child should never come in contact with the accused except for identification of the accused. Except when the identification parade is held, in any time during the time of recording his statement before the magistrate or during the examination of the child should never come in contact with the accused. And it provides for special rooms for recording of evidence, and there is a victim compensation specifically where the POCSO Act enables both award of interim compensation and the final compensation, which can go up to an amount of 20 lakhs also. Then the victim is allowed to appoint a legal practitioner of his own choice to aid and advise them during the entire proceedings of the case. So there are a lot of safeguards provided to a child, which helps anybody to come forward and report a crime without any fear.
According to you, what specific challenges do children face in seeking justice under the POCSO Act?
Yes, like I said, most of the offenders in the act are in this situation are someone in trust of the child, that is a neighbor, a friend, someone known. So here what happens, the entire society shuns out on the victim, where they say, let's just close it in the four walls, why should you bring it out, what will be the future of the child, and let's just talk and settle it among us, let's not bring it out, because the future of your uncle, your father, your brother, it might just, what will the society think about our family. So as the offender is someone known, they are not allowed to come out and talk about it. It becomes the first major step, that is the challenge to come and report it. Once it is reported, second comes to the stage of compromise, where even after reporting they try to offer some money or something, or where the offender is someone above like 16-17 years, something of that age group, that is the teenage age group. The society says just शादी कर दो उन दोनों का हो जाएगा. You are marrying a victim to an offender. Imagine the kind of trauma that the child goes through. And in sexual offenses, what is the most crucial part is the trauma that the child goes through. Imagine a 3 or 4-year-old girl or a boy has to go through something of this sort, the kind of impact that it will have on him throughout his life. Who pays for it? No amount of compensation can justify the trauma that the child goes through. I think these are these are the major challenges I feel. And what I say, any victim or any parent of the victim is, your child should be your utmost priority. No matter what happens at the end, protect your child. I feel that is crucial.
So, what type of cases come on to this organization?
Mostly we receive petty offences like theft and housebreaking. And we also in recent past we started receiving more cases relating to POCSO, and we also receive murder cases.
Yes, sir.
Yes, attempt to murder, and, all IPC sections.
Okay, sir.
And other acts also as well.
So, sir, how does the recreation center or this observation home helps the children? What kind of help is given to them?
Observation home is a temporary reception actually.
Okay, sir.
The stay of the child is not for a permanent period of time.
Yes.
A certain period of time. So here the probability is very less. The same day he might get bail and he can get released.
Mm-hmm.
So if he is there in this institution for more than 14 days, we will start preparing ICP, individual care plan of that child.
Okay.
His ICP includes everything about his education, how to give him support in education, vocational training, and mental health, other issues also. So this will be again updated as per the rules.
Sir, as you've mentioned, we get juveniles here for petty cases as well as POCSO or murder cases. So, how do you bifurcate these children and what type of treatment is given? As in, how are these people
actually keep them according to their age. We bifurcate those children according to their age.
Okay, so don't you think the influence might?
No.
So there is no influence of the serious
There
offenders.
will be no influence, and we cannot separate them and discriminate them in that manner.
Right.
If it is a heinous offense, then we will do that.
Okay. So
Otherwise, we will not do that. We only do bifurcation according to the age.
Oh, okay, sir.
That is what there in the rule.
Okay, sir.
JJ rules.
So what do you think, the mental state, how do you deal with the mental state of the children who have committed the offences? Because when they commit, whether it's a petty offence or whether it's attempt to murder something, there's a motive behind their attempt, right? So how do you deal with their mental state of the children?
Mostly murder cases, what we receive is not planned. Those were done when they were in inebriated condition, using some substance use, influence of substance use or something like that. Otherwise, it is not planned or something. These children, they commit such offences in some influence. That's it. So when they come here, they are almost scared. Okay, what is this facility? The police has caught us. They have registered a case and they have produced us in the board where the magistrate speaks to them. And then they are brought to this institution when they are denied bail there. So when they come here, they are a bit scared. Okay, how will be the environment here and all that. So we give them the home orientation first. We will make them comfortable. Then we will talk to their parents. We make sure that police comes inside the institution along with parents.
Okay.
Because we must know their socio-economic condition. Because if they are not economically sound to appoint a counsel on behalf of the child, we immediately recommend that case to Juvenile Justice Board, from where the child will get legal aid. So we make sure the parent is accommodated when the child is received in this institution.
So, to share any case that you've personally witnessed, which is developed a kid in such a way that he has excelled in his life later after going out from the juvenile observation
Yes, one
center.
child, I don't want to take his name.
Yeah, we'll keep it.
He was here in this institution. He was under section 302.
Okay, sir.
So he was in this institution and later he was sent to special home from this institution. And after getting released from special home, he was provided a job opportunity here on outsourcing basis. And simultaneously, he was supported to continue his education. He has done intermediate here, then he joined his graduation here. He completed that is BA LLB, a 5-year course. He completed that. Now he's a practicing advocate in civil court.
That's truly amazing, sir.
What do you think are the psychological, social, and legal challenges that are faced by these juvenile victims and their families during the pursuit of justice? Like dealing with cultural stigmas, further complicating their difficulties. What are your insights on that?
And thank you so much for that wonderful question. So I have been talking with the parents and the teachers. So I strongly believe that there is an ecosystem that is in place which should work together to get this resolved or to make it a better place. When I say the ecosystem, it involves the school management, it involves the parents, it involves the teachers, and society, and the child, of course. So the challenges or the social stigmas which I come across mainly is that the people are not just able to accept or digest something the harassment done by their own family members, which is the incest. So they say that, okay, we have seen in movies, a father, say for example, a father is having an abusing her own daughter or something like that. But is it really happening? Is it really happening? Is what their question. And when we say that not just the father, it could be the other gender mother also, where we worship her as goddess, they are like, oh, unbelievable. Probably, it is not there in place and you are just making it up. So this myth about the incest is still there, and and we live in a society where we tend to believe the adult's word more than a child. So when a child comes up to us and say that, hey, something wrong has happened to me, we ask them immediately, what wrong did you do? What did you do? There must be something which you have done, or there must be something which you could have triggered, or some kind of thing. So we as a society we are like groomed that way, like we believe more of the adults words than the children. So that is the biggest thing which we find as a challenge, because nobody believes a child completely. There is always a thought behind somewhere saying that what did the child do, or she must have done something, and something provocative would have gone. So those things like victim blaming is obviously there.
Yeah.
And regarding the coming to your point of like in the whole legal process, when we say that the family itself is not a safe place, the home is not a safe place for the child, we tell them that there is a government-sponsored shelter where the kid is taken in those cases. So these are certain things which, as a public, they are not aware of. Like, you really have to go into the details of. No, there is a free medical aid given. There is this child this thing given, and there is also volunteer from the child support who is coming and willing to work with us.
Right.
And for the trauma, psychological expert also who is also there, and legal aid is also given. So even though when we put in points like they are like, okay, now it is this government is there. So what will happen in 4 years or 5 years when the government changes? Will it change? So this is the question they ask us. So it's really based on the politics, geopolitics, in fact. So probably that state is the system is working better. How about our state? So these are the common questions which we come across, and some kind of reassurance needs to be given by the government. Every now and then, saying that come what may, this is an independent solution which is in place, and this act is going to work this way. So that kind of reassurance is the must, I feel. So to start with.
Indeed, ma'am. Indeed.
Ma'am, how do you think the society can help in reintegration of juvenile justice in different communities after the post-trauma?
Okay, so when we say post-trauma healing, there is you can't fix a definite time period to that. It depends on the individual. It is after all a trauma that the child is going through. It's going to relive it again and again, no matter what. During the healing process, where it might try to block it, it might try to express it differently. It might not just express at all. So it's going to take its own time. We have to give that time and space to them. And is the system really willing to give that time and space is what is the next question, because some kids might open up after 6 months of the trauma. So we have to be really patient in those time and give that time period. So that is the first thing which I want to communicate basically. And as a social aspect is that we'll have to give the child a reassurance, saying that it is not the child's fault that this has happened to him or her. So that is very, very important, because the child thinks to blame it on themselves, saying that I am dirty, I am at wrong. Probably I did something wrong, and that's why this has happened to me. So it is very crucial that we are being non-judgmental after whatever has happened, and help the child come through the trauma safely, and give it the time and the space it requires, and don't treat it as a out of sympathy, or treat it any differently, because it would want to mix up with the same set of children and same set of school when it comes back. So we'll have to give that the reassurance, saying that it is not his or her fault that this has happened to them, and it is okay to forget and move on. So that kind of reassurance, as a family, as a society, we are bound to give to the child. So yeah.
Very right, ma'am. Indeed. Ma'am, from the cases that you mentioned, what lessons can we learn from such cases to avoid any social stigma attached to delinquents and victims also their family. Basically, how can their family be supported to avoid social isolation in light of such incidents that are faced towards their victims and the family?
Yeah, so one of the main important point I want to bring up here from the society point of view is that gender-based violence. So when I say gender-based violence, is that okay, men are like this. It's okay to be like that because he's a man. He's doing all this stuff because he's a man. So that has to change, and I think we are slowly progressing towards that change in small ways, in many ways. We can see so many women coming up, and equal rights are being spoken of, and we are definitely there. But are we there? Are we there to know completely? No. So I think there are still certain sorts of like gender-based violence which needs to be changed definitely, and even so more in rural areas. So I think we could involve the panchayats and all those legislation bodies of the rural areas to a certain extent, and create awareness. So I want to mention this one particular incident. Only yesterday I came to Chennai by train. So from Tirunelveli, it's a town in Tamil Nadu again.
Okay.
So as soon as I entered the station, I saw this poster, a signage saying that 1098 child helpline. If you see a missing child, if you see a child alone, please report here. So that was a very nice initiative from the administration of signal of that particular district.
Indeed.
Saying that it has put up the signage there, and also audio announcement was also given.
Okay.
So such initiatives must be there, irrespective of urban or rural. It should be there, so that people are aware of whom to go, because there is a fear of retaliation. There is a fear of what will happen. My family, this thing, feeling ashamed, and all those stuff will be there. So.
Right,
So we have to come out of it slowly, and one more way is, I keep insisting, is that become the child's trusted adult. That is very, very crucial. When I say trusted adult, it's like the child feels like opening up to that particular person, and that particular person is in the confidential circle of the child, and it feels free that it can communicate and express anything to that adult. So once you are that trusted adult, the child comes and talks to you freely about, even if it faces anything harm at school or anywhere, it is freely expressing it to you. So that's very, very important. So that's why we always say that it is a ecosystem that has to work together in place, not just a single person or just a government.
Yes, ma'am.
So it is an ecosystem as such that has to work. Yeah.
Very true, ma'am. I believe the foundation of this very case is the hope, the trust that is built among the parents and the victims, along with the initiatives that is taken by the government. We do hope that with time, both of these do foster and sort of cultivate in our environment. So, ma'am, moving to our next question. Ma'am, from your vast experience, how do you view the effectiveness of the POCSO Act in protecting children? Also, ma'am, are there any specific areas in juvenile justice that you believe still need improvement?
Yeah, so the first stuff I can definitely answer.
Sure.
So regarding the POCSO Act effectiveness, I think we are definitely there, and certainly with all the increase in the digital presence of the kids. So I think in collaboration with the IT Act, so we can make all those changes of digital stalking, and already regarding porn, there is a wonderful welcoming judgment that even storage and viewing in private of any porn is child porn is an offensive. So that is also a very, very good initiative by the court. Regarding the effectiveness, I think as I just mentioned, it has to be giving reassurance, kind of a reassurance, saying that somewhat may be the change in the government at the central level or at the state level. So we are going to be effective. So that kind of reassurance is required. And one more thing is that we say that it is a non-bailable offense, but sometimes very big cases, what we are seeing is that the offender comes out in bail. So it pops up the question in the mind of the public, then why are we saying it as a criminal offense and non-bailable offense?
Very true.
So that is something which really needs to be taken care of, because once it gives a feeling that okay, there is a loophole here and I can come out in bail, so that's giving a kind of a very wrong message to the outside world. So I think this is something which needs to be addressed, ASAP. And one more thing I would want to add is that there has been discussion about reducing the age of Consensus Act
Right,
to
ma'am.
16 years.
Yeah.
So when we have defined the age as 18, it is for a matter, and it is with research saying that the individual's capability to take decision is 18. So according to India, in our country. So when we are going to say that 16 years it's okay for consensus, then it changes the whole thing, right? Which means that you're saying that in the age of 16, a person is able to decide, with whom she wants to go out. And I don't think we are there yet, because it's going to change the entire ball game. So probably the justice system will have to take something on this also, because with the rise in cases with those age perspective also is there.
Ma'am, with your vast experience and personally dealing with victims and families, would you say that at the age of 16, a child truly has developed the maturity as much as an 18-year-old in today's time, or do you think it has sort of evolved or maybe has not?
So when you say that, when compared to the previous two generations, the child has definitely got a more a self-thinking capability compared to those generations. Definitely, yes. But I think we should wait for that 2 more years, because our education system is going to end only by that 18.
Yes.
So why unnecessarily complicate stuff and bring in teenage pregnancy and all those stuff? So we are looking at teenage pregnancies, and the numbers are rocketing day by day for that aspect.
Right.
So personally, if you ask me, I think 18 is the right age.
Indeed, ma'am, very true. Ma'am, we would like to conclude by asking you the last question for our podcast today. Ma'am, how would you help the young people and their families who are struggling to find legal support? And in your opinion, how can pro bono services or community legal clinics be more accessible to these families?
So I am not an advocate, so I'm going to answer to what's best to my knowledge.
Sure.
There are certain great advocates who do cases for pro bono in such cases of POCSO or any other children involved scenarios. So I think the main this thing is that we do advertise for so many things. So what best we could do is tie up with the NGOs, the very big NGOs like Lions Club or Rotary for that matter, or any other NGO in your area which is like truly visible to that folk. In rural areas, it could be a different NGO, not just Rotary or not just Lions or not just any other thing. So the area-wise, whichever NGO is truly visible to the public, who are like on there at the grassroots level working with them, they understand them more. So I would recommend or suggest these legal services to work with those NGOs and get to try and understand if there is a need for them or need for their services there.
Can you talk about any of the case which you have dealt in your practice in life, which you have come across and which has left a huge impact on you also? Can you? Yeah.
Correct. So I work in the arena of this subject where I deal with a number of cases on a day-to-day basis. What disturbs me in general is that the offenders in most of these cases are someone known to the child. That is, it is either the relative, uncle, or it's either the neighbor of the child. So it is mostly committed by someone whom the child holds trust in, because the offender feels that the child would never go out and speak about it, and in fact the child would even never know if it is correct or wrong to be abused, so because anybody of that age would know nothing except chocolates, playing with friends, going out, toys, etc. But the offender tutors the victim in such a way that this is a game, this is దిస్ ఏ తరీకా హే खेलने का ఇట్లా ఆడుకుంటాం మనం, ఇదేం తప్పు కాదు. దిస్ ఇస్ హౌ it's very surprising, and in certain cases I've seen the father is the offender, the brother is the offender of where the sister is abused by an elder brother. Where do these people go when the offender is in your own house? Whose shelter do you seek to go and complain about such acts? And there are certain people who came out of this, that is in certain cases the mother supports the child, comes out with courage, where she is taking the entire onus on her to take care of this child for her entire life. So this cases, that's why I feel like these are the core area where I could serve, because the impact that you create by at least being to help one victim, if the offender is pointed out, saves a lot of children from being victims of such crime. So I think as a society, all of us have to accept that such offences happen, and we have to come out and talk against it, no matter who the offender be.
How do you think we can eradicate these things, ma'am? Do you think how impactful the awareness plays here?
Correct. So compared to the previous times, compared to the situation we were in 10 years back to the present situation, there has been a lot of improvement on the awareness that is being created. However, I feel still there's a lot to be done. We need to start from school, and school children should be our major target, because we always shun out on talking about such acts like safe touch, unsafe touch, etc. to school children, and they should start from the age of 3, 4, 1, 2. There's no age as such, because now the victims are even a 2-year-old babies. So they should be taught about safety and what is safe, what is unsafe, what is good, what is bad. No matter whoever the person is, we should always teach about the comfortness the child should have when somebody is physically touching their body. So it is important that we have these conversations, and the conversation that we have for different age groups differ. You cannot go and talk about a safe touch and unsafe touch to a teenager of 14-year-old. Rather, you should talk to them about being happy, healthy, the changes that their body has during that period. So these are the topics that we have to talk. So awareness should not be general, awareness should be age specific.
So I was asking how after children receiving the aid and the recreation and well-being from the center, what is their mental state once they're leaving and everything is done?
Actually, when a long-term rehabilitation program is designed for a child, and a child is sent to special home for care or from outside itself, the program is completely followed. Whatever the plan is there, that will be implicated. If the child is interested in plumbing or electrical, house wiring, or some other trade,
These children, are they from economically weaker section, or like the majority of the children are they economically weak, or from the other strata of the society, as in
they are most of them are economically weak. If child's parents are economically sound, they will try and get the child out on bail.
Understood.
So
They can spend money, they can appoint advocates, and they can also easily give surety,
Yes, sir.
whatever the surety is.
So what is legal aid? What does legal aid do in situations for the children who are not economically sound? So if they have no financial background or anybody per se for them to support or represent, how does the legal aid help them?
We have District Legal Services Authority here,
Yes, sir.
Metropolitan Legal Services Authority, and we have a panel of advocates appointed by the DLSA and LSA.
Yes, sir.
So what Juvenile Justice Board do is when we refer the child, when we talk to the parents here while receiving the child, we talk to the parents and we'll find out the social economic background of the parent, and we recommend that child to the board. Okay, the child is in need of legal aid assistance.
Yes, sir.
That time the board appoints the legal panel advocate. He will take up that case and he will be with the child till the case is closed.
Okay, sir.
This is how it works.
And when you told most,
We also have now the Nalsar University is also giving us legal services. They are also, the students are also coming, pass outs. They are also coming and they are also giving legal services, free legal services.
it's part of collaboration with trying to develop.
Some program is there. Nalsar's program is there now for law. They are.
We're not too sure about that.
If there's a program, in that program they are coming and they are giving.
So when you told most of the people and most of the children here are economically backward, when you interact with them, like for the offences that they're committed, what is is the economically backwardness their reason to commit such offence? Maybe theft
Reasons are different.
the most of the reasons.
Reasons are completely different. Sometimes under the peer group influence, sometimes socio-economic conditions, sometimes adult offenders' influence, and sometimes in use of substance.
So,
Different reasons. We cannot say okay, only the social, economic background. We cannot say that. Weaker section children are also doing good in their lives. They are also continuing their education. They are doing some. They are trained in something. And, it's not everyone is like that. Children who are under the influence of some, or they are into bad company of friends, they are getting implicated in this.
the POCSO offenders, as you've mentioned, they are sent to special homes, observation homes or special homes. I am not sure. What did you say?
Also,
The POCSO offenders,
Mhm.
juvenile POCSO offenders, are they sent to observation homes or special homes?
they are saying if they are not granted bail, they are here. When
Right.
the trial is not completed, when the inquiry is not completed by the board, they are here in this institution till such time. If they are not granted bail, and if they are granted bail, they will be with their parents and they will be attending the board whenever the production date is there.
So, sir, what is the difference between a special home and an observation center?
Special home is the place where if the board finds the child guilty of committing some offense, and if the board thinks it fit to send the child for a long-term rehabilitation, then the board will order that the child has to be kept in special home for a fixed period of time. That can be 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years, not more than 3 years.
Oh, okay.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was great talking to you. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, thank you.
That's it, ma'am. That's all the questions we had. Thank you so much for sharing your invaluable insights and experience with us today. Your work is great related to children's rights and strengthening child protection systems, and it's truly inspiring. It's been an eye-opening conversation about the challenges and opportunities in juvenile justice and legal aid for youth. We hope our listeners take away a deeper understanding of how we can all contribute to supporting the vulnerable children and ensuring juvenile justice. Thank you again for joining us and our audience. We hope this discussion sparks further reflection and action in our communities.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you
your
so
time
much.
today, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye.
Thank you so much.